From Nobel Peace Prize to political power play. In fact, Mohammad Yunus is now under fire for delaying democracy in Bangladesh. Once hailed as a reformer, he's now branded as a ruler without really a mandate. And in fact, Yunus claims reform, but critics see nothing but regime consolidation. From economic summits to policy rollouts, he is doing everything but holding elections. Well, his mandate, it was temporary. His ambition, unfortunately, now looking endless. Former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has dropped a bombshell, accused Yunus of selling the nation to the U.S. Her words: he seized power with radicals, banned the party of Bangladesh's freedom. He seized control with extremists, selling the nation to the United States. These are exact words that Sheikh Hasina, in fact, said regarding Mohammad Yunus. Now, what does this mean? It means that even the army now is drawing a line, not just Sheikh Hasina and her party, but even the army, demanding elections by December to take place and warning against foreign-backed projects like the Rohingya Corridor. It has been, which has been dismissed as a bloody corridor by the army chief. Bangladesh's interim leader may speak of unity, but as pressure mounts from the people, parties and the military, one question looms large: that is Yunus rewriting the rules of democracy, or is he raising them? Which is why it's important to put forth those big questions that we are going to ask as far as what is really happening in Bangladesh. At one end, we've been hearing the last couple of days a lot of chatter around a public face-off between the army chief and Mohammad Yunus. There's also been a lot of chatter about whether Mohammad Yunus is now on borrowed time. There's also been a fair number of protests that have taken place, whether by the army, whether it is by the civilians, instigated by the army chief. All those add to the instability that's unfolding in Bangladesh. This is why the questions that are coming in. First up, is reform a mask for a power grab that's taking place in Bangladesh? That's the first thing. Secondly, as far as the other big questions, will Bangladesh be ruled by suppression backed by radicals? The other key question. Is Bangladesh's sovereignty now being sold in silence? This is something that Sheikh Hasina has said time and again. And lastly, what happens when the army, the opposition and people say enough? As I said, there are several legs to this story. Enough and more is happening in Bangladesh. I'm going to try and have a reasoned discussion with Faisal Mahmud, who joins me along with Shreya Upadhyay. Shreya, let me start with you. NDTV has not covered any of the chatter that Bangladesh has witnessed in the last 48 hours, because that's right now it's just chatter. It is unconfirmed news. But I want to understand from you, as someone who tracks Bangladesh, this region very closely, how do you see the face-off that's unfolding and the power tussle that's been going on between the army chief and Mohammad Yunus?
So this is something which, when Yunus has to ultimately start for the
Okay, we'll try and connect with Shreya in just a bit. I want to fix that line. Faisal, let me start with you. Then let me give you that that opening comment in terms of a possible, or what is turning out to be, a power tussle between the army chief and Mohammad Yunus.
Thank you, Gaurie. Let me clarify one thing. There is no power tussle because, the militaries are aiding the interim government to maintain peace and stability in the country. But then again, there's a tension. Yes, because, the army chief made a remark about the election, which the interim government probably didn't take well. So there is a tension, but there is no tussle. And the army chief has made it very clear that he has no intention of any power grab or anything. He just wants to make sure that Bangladesh has a proper democratic transition. And he just wants to make sure that Bangladesh has an election in the way within the time frame that Dr. Yunus has mentioned. But the problem is Dr. Yunus has very clearly mentioned that the election will take place between December 2025 and June 2026. So there's a 6-month time frame. And he at one point said that if Bangladesh wants, because there was this mass uprising and Bangladesh wants a reformed administration, reform bureaucracy, and because 15 years of autocratic rule has damaged a lot of institutions. So without reform, the people will not I mean, the common people will not accept just another election without any sort of framing. That's like the common people's perception. But again, the perception has been changing. The perception can change in a very quick time. So right now, what Dr. Yunus has said, it's probably not being well received by the main political parties. I mean, the main political parties right now is BNP because they are right. They're very agitated. They want a fixed date. They are they're saying that okay, a 6 month time frame is a long term. We want an exact date. And I think Dr. Yunus has made sure that okay, he will not go beyond that time frame, and he'll probably soon declare a election date.
Shreya, come in there in terms of the power tussle that I was asking you earlier.
In fact, Yunus has always said it has kind of spewed venom against India, and he has said that the current crisis in Bangladesh is a product of conspiracy to kind of re-establish Indian hegemony in the country. And when he came in for a reason, and I think it's very important that now he needs to, give way to elections, as early as possible.
No, the fact that elections should take place is only part of the story. The fact that it seems that there is a parallel power center between the army and the interim government is what many feel is adding to instability. There were even, in fact, possible, as I said, chatter and rumors. I will not say that anything more, but the fact that there was those chatter and rumors about Mohammad Yunus, in fact, looking at other alternative options in terms of running the government indicates the parallel power structure, doesn't it, Shreya?
Of course. In fact, if we see that army and Yunus, the entire rift has widened, so much so that the law and order situation is currently in shambles. And there are violent rallies taking place. There have been attacks on minorities. And many have said that the army chief, Waqar-ul-Zaman, is anti-US or, pro-India for that matter. In this regard, in fact, even France recently rejected meeting Yunus, for a climate change conference. So definitely there's been a lot going on in the domestic circles. And the issue, however, it's the public that is paying the price. It is the industry which the price, whether it is the garment industry, the energy costs are rising, there's unreliable gas and electricity supplies. So, ultimately, because of the rift, it's the people of Bangladesh that are suffering.
Let's leave it there. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on the story that, as I said, I'm going to keep coming back to, but only and only when we have credible information. It seems that Mohammad Yunus is struggling, but that's a story that NDTV has been bringing to you. Anything more, it's only going to come when there is accurate information. Bottom line, viewers, as far as what's unfolding in Bangladesh is concerned, is Mohammad Yunus stands accused of hijacking democracy. 9 months, no election date. He calls it reform. Critics say that it could possibly be a coup. Protests rage, industry teethers, and Islamist radicals roam unchecked. Hasina says he sold the nation to Washington and silenced the very party that birthed Bangladesh. This is not about Hasina. This is not about the Awami League. This is about the people of Bangladesh. What do they want? Do they deserve better than an unelected interim government? Well, the army seems to be sensing what the public sentiment is, which is why it has drawn a red line. It says elections must take place. The unfoldings in Dhaka seem less and less like a transition. They're more and more looking like a twilight of Mohammad Yunus and his so-called interim government.